For 5 years, I thought I had it all. Sarah and I had been together through thick and thin, and she always made me feel like the luckiest guy in the world. We had built a life together, shared countless memories, and even discussed marriage. I was ready to spend my life with her. But little did I know, the illusion of love I was living in was nothing more than a cruel joke. It started subtly. At first, she'd come home late, blaming it on work deadlines. Then she became more protective of her phone, turning it face down, taking it with her everywhere, even in the bathroom. She began canceling plans last minute, always with a vague excuse. I wanted to believe her, but a seed of doubt had been planted in my mind. And once doubt takes root, it grows like a wildfire. One evening, Sarah rushed into the shower after coming home, leaving her phone on the kitchen counter. A notification popped up. I told myself not to look, but then I saw the name, Jake. I didn't even have to unlock her phone. The preview of the message was enough to shatter everything I believed about our relationship. I can't stop thinking about last night, Redheart. I wish I was in your arms right now. My hands trembled as I stared at the words. I felt my heart drop to my stomach. I didn't confront her immediately. I needed more proof. If Sarah had chosen to betray me, I wouldn't just call her out. I would expose her completely. I started watching her closely. Every time she laughed at her phone, every excuse she made, every time she seemed distracted, I noted it all. I became an investigator in my own relationship. Over the next few days, I waited for my opportunity. Sarah had become careless. She had used my laptop a few times to check her emails, and she never logged out. That's where I struck gold. Her messages with Jake were all there. Flirty texts that made my stomach turn. Plans to meet up when she told me she was working late. Photos, some of them intimate, ones that made me feel sick. She had been playing me for a fool for months. Instead of confronting her in a fit of rage, I did something unexpected. I acted normal. I pretended I knew nothing. I kept being the same loving boyfriend she thought she had wrapped around her finger. Why? Because I was planning something much bigger than just an argument. She thought she was winning this game. She had no idea she was walking straight into my trap. Sarah was always the center of attention in our friend group. She loved hosting parties, being admired, and showing off her perfect relationship. So I decided to give her a stage to perform on, one she'd never forget. I invited our closest friends, her family, and even Jake's girlfriend to a dinner party. It would be a night to remember. The night arrived. The house was filled with people, laughter, and music. Sarah was glowing, completely unaware of what was coming. She even kissed me on the cheek in front of everyone, like she was a perfect girlfriend. It made my blood boil, but I smiled. Then I stood up and tapped my glass. I have a surprise for Sarah tonight. Her eyes lit up. She thought it was some kind of romantic gesture. Oh! Sarah, you have no idea. The room fell silent as I connected my phone to the TV. And then I pressed play. Sarah's messages with Jake flashed on the screen. Every dirty little secret, every lie, every betrayal, right there in front of everyone. She gasped. The crowd murmured in shock. Someone even whispered, "Oh my God!" Then came the pictures. Sarah turned to me, eyes wide with horror. "Wait, I can explain." I cut her off. "Explain what, Sarah? How you been cheating on me for months? How you been lying to my face while sneaking around with Jake?" She was speechless. As the messages scrolled across the screen, Jake's girlfriend burst into tears. She turned to Jake, her face red with anger. "You bastard!" She slapped him across the face. Jake stammered. Sarah just sat there, frozen. For the first time, she realized she had lost. Sarah's friends were disgusted. Even her own sister looked away in shame. One by one, people started leaving. The image of the perfect Sarah had been completely destroyed. Sarah begged me to talk privately. She tried to grab my hand. I yanked it away. "You're dead to me." Then I walked out, and I never looked back. I walked out that night, leaving Sarah humiliated in front of everyone. The weight of betrayal should have crushed her, but I knew Sarah too well. She wouldn't go down quietly. I had just fired the first shot, and I was ready for war. I moved out of our apartment that night, crashing at my best friend Mark's place. He had been at the party and had seen everything unfold. "Dude, that was legendary," he said, handing me a beer. "But you know she's not going to let this go, right?" I nodded. I had a feeling this was just the beginning. The next morning, my phone blew up with messages from Sarah. "Please, let's talk. You don't understand. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was a mistake. I love you." I ignored them all. Then came the voicemails, her crying, begging me to meet her. I didn't fall for it. Instead, I sent her one final text. "You made your choice, Sarah. Now live with it." Then I blocked her. The party had gone viral within our friend group. Everyone was talking about it. People who weren't even there started reaching out, wanting to know if it really happened. Sarah's reputation was in shambles. Even her co-workers heard about it. And guess what? Jake had a fiancé. The moment his fiancé found out, she dumped him immediately. Not only did Sarah destroy our relationship, but she had unknowingly destroyed Jake's too. Poetic justice. A week later, Sarah showed up at my work. I was in the middle of a meeting when my receptionist called me. "There's a woman here demanding to see you. She says it's urgent." I already knew who it was. I walked out to the lobby, and there she was, a mess. Her makeup was smeared, her hair was disheveled, and her eyes were red from crying. This wasn't the confident, manipulative Sarah I once knew. "Please, just talk to me," she whispered. "I need you." I crossed my arms. "No, Sarah, you needed Jake." Her eyes widened, and for a moment, I saw pure panic. "I made a mistake," she choked out. "I was stupid. I was lonely. You were always busy, and I held up my hand. "Save it. You weren't lonely. You were selfish." I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there. That was the last time I saw Sarah in person. I wasn't just going to move on. I was going to make sure she felt the consequences of her actions. I had already blocked her everywhere, but I knew she still had access to our shared accounts. I went in and removed her from our Netflix, Spotify, and Amazon accounts, transferred our joint savings into my personal account, since I was the one who put all the money in, canceled her credit card that was under my name, deleted all our shared photos from social media. Then I sent her one final message through email. "Sarah, our relationship is officially over. You betrayed my trust, and I want nothing to do with you. Do not contact me again. Goodbye." Then I blocked her email too. A month later, I got a call from a mutual friend. "Dude, you won't believe this. Sarah lost her job. Apparently, her boss had found out about her affair with Jake." "Why?" "Because Jake's fiancée had a cousin who worked in the same company, and she made sure everyone knew. Jake was fired too. Turns out, office romances were strictly forbidden in their workplace. Now, Sarah was unemployed, single, and alone. I laughed. Karma worked faster than I ever expected. By this point, my life had completely turned around. I started hitting the gym, focusing on my career, and even started dating again. But I wasn't rushing into anything. I had learned my lesson. Sarah taught me that not everyone is who they pretend to be, and that's a lesson I'd never forget. Months passed. Life was good. Then, out of nowhere, an unknown number called me. I ignored it. Then I got a text. "Please answer. It's Sarah." I sighed. What could she possibly want now? Curiosity got the best of me. I answered. Her voice was soft, broken. I just wanted to say, "I'm sorry." I didn't respond. "I lost everything," she continued. "You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I threw it all away." I finally spoke. "Yes, you did." Then I hung up. That was the last time I ever heard from Sarah. She tried to win. She thought she had outsmarted me. But in the end, I won. Because while she was stuck in the ruins of her own betrayal, I was out there living my best life. And that, my friends, is how you handle a cheating ex. After Sarah's last desperate call, I felt a strange sense of closure. It wasn't that I forgave her. I never would. But I finally realized she was no longer part of my life. I focused on myself. New goals, new mindset, new life. I got a promotion at work. I bought myself a brand new car. I started going on vacations, solo trips, just to enjoy my freedom. For the first time in years, I wasn't tied down by lies and betrayal, and it felt incredible. A year later, I was out with friends when I saw her. Sarah. She was sitting alone at a cafe, looking exhausted and miserable. She had lost weight, not in a healthy way. Dark circles under her eyes. Her once glamorous outfits replaced with cheap, worn-out clothes. She looked up, and our eyes met. She froze. I smirked, gave her a polite nod, and walked away. That's when I knew I had truly won. A few months after seeing Sarah, I ran into Jake, her former side piece. He was sitting at a bar, drowning himself in drinks. His fiancée had left him. He had lost his job. He had nothing. "Hey, man," he slurred. "Can we talk?" I laughed. "Talk? About what?" "How you destroyed your own life." He looked down. "I regret it." "Good," I said, tossing a few bills on the table for my drink. "Live with it." Then I walked out. While Sarah and Jake were suffering, I was thriving. I started posting more on social media, traveling to new places, hitting the gym, looking better than ever, going on dates with amazing women. I didn't do it to rub it in Sarah's face, but okay, maybe a little, smiling face with horns. And guess what? Sarah was watching. Sarah had me blocked after I blocked her first, but I knew she was still keeping tabs on me. How? I kept getting follow requests from fake accounts. At first, I ignored them, but then I got a DM. "I miss you." I smirked. Busted. Sarah was lurking in the shadows, still hoping for another chance. 2 years after breakup, Sarah emailed me. Subject, "Can we talk?" The email was long. She apologized again, told me how much she regretted everything, and said she had changed. She even had the audacity to ask if we could grab coffee and catch up. I didn't respond. I forwarded the email to my spam folder and moved on. A few weeks later, one of our old mutual friends reached out. "Hey, Sarah's been asking about you. She really wanted to make things right." I laughed. "Did she put you up to this?" There was silence. Then a hesitant, "Yeah." Sarah was still trying to manipulate people into getting me back. It was pathetic. While Sarah was stuck in her past, I had moved on. I met Lisa, a woman who was everything Sarah wasn't, loyal, kind, and genuine. We started dating, and for the first time, I felt what real love was supposed to feel like. No secrets, no lies, just pure happiness. A month into my relationship, Sarah somehow found out. How do I know? She unblocked me just to send me one message. "I hope she cheats on you like I did." I laughed and blocked her again. She was drowning in bitterness, while I was living my best life. Years passed. Life was good. Then, one day I got engaged to Lisa. I didn't think about Sarah at all, until I got a random text from a number I didn't recognize. "Congratulations. I hope she makes you happy." It was Sarah. I didn't respond. She didn't deserve a single word from me. A few weeks before my wedding, I heard Sarah had moved away. She had cut ties with most of our mutual friends, probably because no one respected her anymore. That was the last time I ever heard about her. After blocking Sarah for good, I focused entirely on building the life I always wanted. I threw myself into work, traveled more, and spent time with people who actually cared about me. Lisa and I were getting serious. She was everything I had hoped for, kind, supportive, and completely different from Sarah. I never had to second-guess her loyalty or wonder what she was hiding. For the first time in a long time, I felt at peace. Months passed without hearing anything about Sarah. Then out of nowhere, I got a text from an unknown number. "I just want to talk. Please, just one last time." I didn't even hesitate. Block. Sarah was nothing more than a ghost of the past, and I had no reason to entertain her anymore. Even though I had blocked Sarah everywhere, I started noticing something strange. Random fake accounts following me on Instagram. One day, I posted a picture of Lisa and me at a beach resort. Within minutes, a burner account commented, "She'll never love you like I did." I laughed. Sarah was still watching me, Still bitter, still obsessed. Lisa asked me if I wanted to make my account private. Nah, I said with a smirk. Let her watch. One day, I bumped into one of Sarah's old friends. She recognized me immediately. Hey, wow, I haven't seen you in years. How are you? We made small talk, and eventually she asked, have you heard about Sarah? I shrugged. Nope, don't care. She laughed. Well, you should. She's a mess. Turns out, Sarah had been jumping from job to job, struggling to find stability. After she got fired for her affair, she never really recovered. She had lost most of her friends, and even Jake wanted nothing to do with her anymore. Hearing that didn't make me happy. It just confirmed what I already knew. Speaking of Jake, I found out through a mutual connection that he wasn't doing much better. After getting dumped by his fiancée and fired from his job, his life spiraled downward. He had burned every bridge, and no one respected him anymore. Karma was undefeated. Life was going great. Lisa and I decided to move in together. We found a beautiful apartment, and for the first time, I felt like I was truly starting fresh. No baggage, no lies, no drama, just happiness. When Lisa and I got engaged, I didn't even think about Sarah, but apparently she found out. How? One of her old friends told me that Sarah still secretly checked my social media. And when she saw the engagement photos, she completely lost it. She started ranting about how I had moved on too fast, and that I was only doing this to hurt her. Delusional. She cheated on me. She destroyed the relationship. And yet, she still acted like she was a victim. A few weeks before my wedding, I received an email from Sarah. It was long, emotional, and completely unhinged. She missed me. She regretted everything. She believed we were soulmates. She thought we could start over. I deleted the email without replying. She didn't deserve my time, my energy, or my words. Lisa and I had a perfect wedding, surrounded by friends, family, and love. It was everything I could have dreamed of. Sarah, she wasn't even a thought in my mind that day. After the wedding, Sarah finally stopped trying to contact me. Maybe she realized she had lost for good. Maybe she finally moved on. Or maybe she just couldn't handle watching me live the life she threw away. Either way, I never heard from her again. Years passed. Life got better and better. I got promoted to a senior position at work. Lisa and I bought a house. We traveled the world together. I was happier than I had ever been. Sarah, she was just a distant memory. One night, Lisa and I were out at a nice restaurant when I saw him. Jake. He looked terrible, unkempt, out of shape, drinking alone. He saw me and froze. For a moment, it seemed like he wanted to say something, maybe apologize, maybe beg for some kind of acknowledgement. I just smiled, nodded, and walked away. He wasn't worth my time. Years later, I caught up with a mutual friend who had been there for the infamous party where I exposed Sarah. Man, that night was legendary, he laughed. We reminisced about how Sarah had ruined her own life, and how, in the end, she had no one to blame but herself. Looking back, I don't hate Sarah. I don't even feel anger anymore. I just feel nothing. She was a lesson, a painful one but necessary, and I was grateful that I learned it early in life. Lisa and I focused on growing our family. We built a home together. We supported each other. We created the kind of love that Sarah never understood. I never looked her up, but a friend mentioned her once. Sarah was still single, still struggling, and still bitter. I didn't feel sorry for her. She had made her choices, and choices have consequences. People think revenge is about getting even, about making the other person suffer. But the truth is, the best revenge is moving on, thriving, and living a life so amazing that they regret everything. And that's exactly what I did. If I could go back and change one thing, I wouldn't, because every bad decision, every heartbreak, every betrayal led me to the life I have now, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Sarah was long gone. My real life had just begun, and I was exactly where I was meant to be.